Welcome to the Empowered Catholic Podcast with Karen and Curtis Herbert, where we combine the best of theology, science, and coaching to inspire your empowerment. It's our mission to help you release the inner obstacles that are holding you back from embracing true Christian freedom, so the power of the Holy Spirit can manifest in you. So if you believe that God has more for you, if you want to believe that God has more for you, listen on, my friend.
Hello and welcome to the Empowered Catholic Podcast. I'm Curtis. I'm here with Karen.
Hi, everybody.
And we are on a mission. We are on a mission, my friends, to have everyone step into empowerment. And we've been talking about what it means. And now, today, we're going to talk about a principle that we want you to live by. We want you to live by this principle. So this is big. So what is the principle, Karen?
I love how you build it up, Curtis, and then you hand it off to me. Yes, I agree. If you actually lived by this principle, your whole life would change. You would experience almost everything differently. And it is a principle. It's also just a skill. It's something you can learn, you can be attentive to, and grow in as a habit.
So, Karen, I've seen you embrace this principle in our lives. And
You have?
Yeah, and you're kind of boldly going forward. And
Kind of like Enterprise.
exactly, exploring strange new worlds.
Yes.
And maybe actually those are aliens that we're dealing with, which would explain a lot.
It would explain a lot.
Yes. It's pretty cool. And in some ways, that leaves me to get empowered or
Up the ante, honey.
get left in the dust.
Exactly.
Baby.
Exactly.
And that is so true in a relationship. When the one person starts to change, the other one's got to decide how they're going to change their moves
To respond.
have the new dance be
Exactly.
effective. So, my friends, we want you to live by this. We call it a principle, a habit, a mindset. I don't care what you call it. It's important.
Yes. Okay. So imagine that there's an equation, and we're all familiar with this equation. On one side of the equation is cause, and on the other side of the equation is effect. Cause and effect. And we experience this all the time in our daily lives. There's a cause and there's an effect from the cause. What we're talking about is a little different than that. We're talking about being at cause in your life versus being at effect in your life. What do we mean by that? Well, let's talk about being at effect of something. When you feel like something is being done to you, that person did X to me, and then you're stuck, that is being at the effect of something. And usually what happens is you start to feel a little bit like a victim, like all these things are happening to you and you don't really have control over them. And you can start to get resentful. You can look for somebody or something to blame for your current situation. And you can really just feel like complete loss of power in your life.
That's right, Karen. And the more extreme cases are this kind of woe is me. And, all these things are happening to me and nothing I can do about it. Hoo. And you can mix a little anger in there and you get the toxic resentment. Yet what we're talking about is, there are intermediate levels of being at effect.
Yes.
And a lot of them show up with a lot of passivity, avoidance, doing nothing, not taking initiative, putting things off. And that is a manifestation of being at effect, I think.
It's true. It's true. If you find yourself giving reasons or excuses why something isn't real in your life, or you don't have the thing that you would like, and you're blaming external circumstances, then you've got some effect going on. And when you're at cause, It's like you can imagine yourself just standing tall and saying, okay, I'm going to take responsibility for my results. So maybe I didn't cause this. However, I can be at cause and take responsibility for changing what happens in my life. I don't have to live at the effect of whatever it is. Because when you're at the effect of things, then you have no power. You have no power for change. When you're at cause, it doesn't matter what caused the thing. You can make decisions to get better outcomes and be responsible for your life. It's a complete mind shift, and you totally let go of who is at fault. The question is, how can I make the changes I want to make and get some different results in my life?
How can I make the changes? So things happen around us all the time, and we indeed are not the cause. We're not the cause of the LA wildfires. We're not the cause of certain international disputes. Yet being at cause is a little different proposition. That is the idea of having responsibility to take the actions that are available to us if we choose.
Yeah. Yeah. So Viktor Frankl, he became a famous psychologist. He was a guy who was in Auschwitz, and he was in concentration camps for like 5 years or something. And he really saw the worst of human behavior. He saw, evil in action. And he noticed that there'd be different responses from the people that he was in the camp with. And some of the prisoners would give up. They would just kind of abandon human compassion and focus on surviving, which totally makes sense in such a predicament. However, he observed other prisoners who were also in the same situation, the worst place in the world, and they were able to find meaning in their lives and could respond with kindness and courage. And at the time, I think he was kind of stuck in Freud's belief that, well, actually, what drives your actions is instinct and urge, and you're just responding to this natural kind of instinctual behavior. But he said, no, actually, human beings have a choice, and they're searching for meaning and purpose. And then he wrote the book, Man's Search for Meaning. And there's a quote in there where he says, there's a stimulus, that just means there's things happening around us, and there's our response. And in between there is a space. And in the space is the power to choose. And in that space is growth and freedom. Growth and freedom. And it was very powerful experience, I think, to see we can be at the effect of what is around us, or we can experience that and still be at cause.
So Frankl is having all these terrible things happen to him.
Yeah.
He's not the cause of those things. Yet in the midst of that, he is finding some freedom to respond in a way that creates meaning for him.
Yeah. And I'm sure that creates change for those around him. I'm sure the individuals in that circumstance who were reaching out to others, who were engaging, who were creating community, who were creating hope, who were acting with kindness, that is a very powerful reality in the midst of everything else that's going on.
Wow, Karen, that's an extreme example. So here's another extreme example. and this is actually your example that you brought to my attention. So I'll try this. So William James, a 19th century medical doctor, he was a very depressed guy. And as a medical doctor, newly minted at age 27, he was just even more depressed about really the pointlessness of it all. Life seemed so predetermined. It seemed empty. And he was right? That's being at the effect of the universe. Like, here I am. I've got all this stuff thrust upon me. Here's the stuff I have to do. There's really no point to it.
Doesn't matter what I do.
Yeah, doesn't matter what I do. And yeah, I'm starting to relate to, I could feel that way sometimes, like here I have this job and oh yeah, and all these things are happening. And he just came to the realization that, my outlook on life is it's not serving me. It is not helping me. It's not letting me enjoy my life. It's not letting me be effective. It's not motivating. And he decided, I wonder if I have free will. He wasn't so sure about that, but he said, I'm going to act as if I do. I'm going to act as if I am a creative person with agency. I have a certain reality, and that's fine. I'm going to embrace that. And his depression lifted, and he went on to become a founder of the psychological sciences.
That story is so interesting to me because he gets at this issue that he had to sort of put aside what he thought was true or not true and say, you know what, I'm going to live as if I had this belief and see what happens. And he saw this amazing shift in his outlook, in his mood, in his effectiveness, in the results that he got, simply by deciding to believe that he was an agent with power to make changes in his own life and in others' life. And then he could move from being at effect to being at cause in his life.
Yeah, it really reminds me of being coaches on our own journey and with clients, inviting them to step into a new belief.
Yeah.
Here's something you could believe. It's probably true, and you can try it out. And so James said, wow, this is not working for me. I think I do have free will. That was his big thing that was blocking him, I guess. I think I do. I'm going to try this on. And it really worked for him.
Yeah, because ultimately, what is that belief doing for you and what is it creating in your life? And is that what you want or not?
Right. So life has a lot of puzzles.
It does.
And James was in this big mental puzzle, sounds like. But there's other dimensions to his person, the spiritual and the emotional. And he, by trying a new belief on mentally, he was able to kind of access more of his whole person and have a much more meaningful life. So it's very interesting example. So way to go, hon. Thanks for bringing that one up. And Karen, when we're at effect, we're on the wrong side of the equation. We're at effect. What we believe has a tremendous influence on what we perceive.
Yes. Say some more about that.
Well, if we think that the economy is terrible, so my business is not going to thrive, then our unconscious mind starts to filter out information to the contrary because we've given it some direction. Yeah, this is how reality works, so be on the lookout for this. And it's bringing us all these problems, and we're setting ourselves up not to thrive in that business environment because just because the economy stinks that year, we're convinced, oh, that's going to be a big problem for us. So our beliefs shape our reality in actual important ways.
Yeah, it's true. I agree. You won't even see then opportunities that present themselves to thrive because you've already decided that's not going to happen for you.
Yeah, and so one clue that you're on the effect side of the equation, the wrong side, is you're in the past. You're spending a lot of time in the past. Being at cause, you're in the present and you're in the future and you are looking for results. You're looking for solutions. You're looking for ways to change your outcomes.
Yeah. So I think one question we ask when we're in the past is, Why? Why did this happen? Why did this person do this to me? Why do these things always happen to me? Versus, what is my power here? What are the choices and possibilities that are available to me? It's not why looking for reasons. It's what is possible for me to get results.
And it's a willingness to accept some responsibility.
Yeah.
So there's the classic case of you're single, you're carefree, life is great, but you keep having these terrible relationships.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at some point, somebody suggests to you, I'm just waiting for the next loser you're going to show up with and date, because that's your pattern. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, yeah, those, say, men, yeah, they were jerks, man. But how did I end up with them? What is my responsibility here? And all of a sudden you start to focus on the future. Well, what is it I need to change in me? How can I be better and find the kind of relationship that I deserve?
Yeah. Versus believing, well, I give up. All men are jerks. There aren't any good men out there. And it's a completely at effect belief and response versus what you were saying, which is taking responsibility for the results that you're getting.
So being at cause, and we're inviting you, our listeners, to embrace the cause side of the equation pretty much in all areas of your life, although that's pretty hard, all areas. But yet, here we go. How about another example, Karen?
Well, I feel like I need to give a really relatable example.
Yeah, okay.
If that's okay. So there's this couple, and the wife has some health issues, and the light in their closet goes out. So she wants the husband to fix the light. So he goes, he gets a light, he brings it back. It doesn't fit. It doesn't fit with the fixture or whatever. And so a long time goes by because he's a little bit of a procrastinator. And the wife gets really frustrated because pretty soon it's been a year. No light in the closet. And she gets her phone out to go in there and find some clothes to wear every morning. And every time she does that, it's just like, why won't he fix this light? Why won't he fix this light? And eventually she calls a relative, like her son or daughter. They come over and try to finagle the light and fix it. And then afterwards, she's like, oh my gosh, that was so frustrating to me, but I could have gone on Amazon and got one of those sticky lights you just stick on the wall, or like one of those like camping lights that you hang from something. And it was like this moment of, holy cow, I was so frustrated and I'm just so relieved to have this light. And there was a lot I could have done, but I was stuck in this, why won't he fix the light place? And I couldn't get out of it.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? So it went on for a year, and the thought of, gee, I wonder if Amazon.com has solutions for me didn't occur to her.
Right. And there's a lot of reasons why, you might choose not to do that, but she did have choice. She could have been at cause for the result of whether she could see her clothes in the morning or not. But instead, when we get in that effect place, it's very sticky, and we can get very tunnel vision about our situation. And in reality, we probably have a lot of possible solutions.
So when she's at cause, she sees a number of solutions. I can get some kind of sticky light that you stick on the wall to give me a little bit of light in the closet. I can get a temporary light that's convenient. And that's in contrast to being at cause, where you'd probably focus on that relationship.
Oh, you mean at effect?
At effect, yeah.
Yeah. At effect, you're focusing on the problem. And when you're at cause, you're looking for solutions.
So I could see your friends coming in. Oh, yeah, you need to you need to light a fire under your husband, have a confrontation, get mad, get some results, or, well, just call the handyman. That'll show him to leave you hanging for a year. You can rub it in and hold it over his head. Or, oh, you need to really butter him up and be really nice and just sit down and look deeply into his eyes and say, please fix my light tomorrow. But those are all on the effect side of the equation, because implicit in all that is, well, it's his fault.
Yeah, and I can't get what I want unless I change this other person.
Yeah, and I'm assuming it's his fault, or maybe they had some crazy relationship dynamic and he was resisting, or who knows. But none of that mattered, because if she was at cause, she would see a lot of different opportunities.
Yeah. And in fact, that's one way to know that you're at effect, is you're just sitting around waiting for other people to change or do things differently or things to improve. You're waiting for other people to change your situation.
Right. And so really the big telltale is the energy.
Right.
It's the energy around it. When I'm at effect, it's that negative, draining, rah, 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 energy.
Yes. And that's a really good point, because really we're asking our listeners to start paying attention to when they're at effect and when they're at cause. And that's a good way to tell. And something to notice is, well, what's my energy around this thing? What are the emotions I have around it? And how am I trying to fix it? Am I trying to fix it by focusing on problems in other people or not?
That's true. And it gets a little challenging, really, when you have other people involved, groups of people. It's very natural for us to get into the effect, because those systems can seem really intractable. And our range of power and influence is indeed limited.
Well, it's true. I mean, I could be in a toxic workplace or just, as you mentioned, an intractable workplace. I could be sitting there waiting for other people to make changes and wondering, well, why don't they change? And they should do blah, blah, blah. But of course, nobody's going to do that. But in the end, I'm responsible for my happiness at work, whatever that is. If I'm responsible for my happiness at work, then I'm going to start thinking, well, what would it mean for me to be happy at work? Can I be happy here? Do I need a different situation to be happy? What would that look like? But you take responsibility for your happiness rather than making somebody else responsible for that.
That's right, Karen. That's a great example. And embracing this way of doing things, notice when you are at effect. Notice those energy markers and move yourself towards cause. Maybe ask some good questions like, hey, what's going on here now? Or what action can I take to influence or to change things? Or well, what's the outcome that I really want? How can I get it? Or how can I be responsible for the outcome that I want? What is it that I am wanting that I am responsible for?
Yeah. Yeah. And if you notice some of those being at effect markers, and you're going to start to pay attention and notice them, you could even just say, well, if I was at cause, what would I be doing differently? What might I be doing if I actually believed I had some power to change my situation?
And one of the great things about this practice is it's going to elevate your mood.
It's
going
totally.
to give you things to do. And when you feel like there's something you can do about a situation, wow. That
makes all the difference.
Makes all the difference. And imagine in a group where people are starting to take an empowered attitude at your workplace, in your parish, in your school, at your hockey team.
Right, right.
The first weekend is February 21 to 23, and the second weekend is April 25th to the 27th. Mark out those times. Go to empoweredcatholics.com. There's a banner right at the top of the page. Just click on that, and it'll take you to the place where you can get your tickets. It's at a nice conference center. We're going to keep it to a certain size where we can have lots of hands-on work with you.
You guys, I just want to encourage you to think about this. You will walk away from this weekend with significant empowerment. This is what we do with our one-to-one coaching clients, only we're fitting it into a weekend and doing it in a group setting. It is extremely transformative and will up-level pretty much anything that you're doing. So reach out to us with any questions, and we're so glad to see you here on the podcast. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for being here with us this week. Visit our website at empoweredcatholics.com to learn more about us. And remember, as Pope Francis says, God comes to break open everything that keeps you closed in.